Hey, DeRacers. Today we're going to be having the first of many, and what we're going to be doing is community profiles. And so today we're really excited to bring on Yoderr, who is the self-proclaimed the oldest guy in the space. Now, we've talked with Yoderr about a week ago, and we got a sense of who he is and his backstory, and it was one of the most fun conversations that we've had. So very excited to have him. Yoderr, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, guys. It's great to be here, and I just want to say up front too, it's such a pleasure. And I want to thank you very much for the wonderful work you're doing in this space and within DeRace. It's people like yourselves generating this content and other supporters like Brad at Dirk Army, SOR Racing, etc., that have really making this project and taken it to the next level. So it's a real pleasure to be here. So thanks, guys.
We appreciate that.
All right. So what I wanted to do is, we talked last week and you were talking about your backstory, and one of my favorite stories that you were talking about is that you were getting into horse racing. Was it at the age of 14? Can you?
Yeah, probably. I'm probably a little bit different within the space, because probably other people have come here, whether they're gamers or crypto or else, and I'm probably a combination of all three. So my traditional history probably starts from authentic original horse racing. So when I was about the age of 14, I was in my bedroom, and mum and dad expecting me in there studying for exams. Quite honestly, I didn't study at all. But what I had in between my homework books was just a form guide, and I'd have the radio down low. I'd be turning it on and off as my parents would walk in the room, and I'd just be listening to races, studying the form and trying to pick winners. So from that resulted in, I probably spent the next 15 years never missing a Saturday at the races. I was out there every weekend, absolutely loved it. And so it was a really big part of my life. So probably from that sort of circle, I got to really have my closest friends as traditional horse race trainers, obviously owners, breeders. So I probably got a full, idea of that industry well and truly. And then probably from there, the last few years, I probably got into crypto around about sort of 5 years or so ago now. So because I sort of started down a journey of crypto, and obviously I love authentic horse racing, it took me a while, and then finally I come across DeRace. That's probably a little bit how I started to get into this.
So on that question, I want to just throw one at you. So when you found DeRace, there's a couple different options out there. What was it about DeRace that drew your attention the most?
Probably a couple of things there. I sort of was a little bit late to Z Run, and I really didn't necessarily overly appeal to me. It's a few aspects of where I was at, it wasn't, but I like the originality of the horses. I like the way the horses look, the way they move, that sort of more original horse racing type feel. And I sort of thought this is something I think I get into. And like I said, I'm great at authentic horse racing. I know my crypto quite a bit, but I just I'm not really a gamer. So it's something I haven't really done a lot of. But now I felt that comfortable enough with the platform the way it was quite easy to do. So for me, it wasn't necessarily intimidating. So that's what probably led me down this path.
So did you get in on the original minting from DeRace, or did you come a little bit after that?
I come just after. And I thought, because I'm so clever, I thought, you know what, I really want to buy my horses at the most expensive I possibly could. I want to buy at the top. I don't want anything wait for a bear market or cheap. I want to buy at the top, and so that's what happened. I bought couple probably played well and truly too much, and then then over the journey, because the way it sort of started too was with the stable. I thought I just want to own one. That's all I want to do was own one, right? So then I thought I'll own two. And then I thought, if I own a mare, I need a stallion, So if I own a stallion, next minute, oh, look, I need to own a thoroughbred. No, I need to own a mixed bred. Oh, look, I really want a slim. No, I need a full as well. And so then what happened was I started going down this rabbit hole of, I wanted to have enough that I could really start to create a good stable of, of mixed varieties and rarities and that sort of thing, So, and that's what I've done since then. And obviously once you start, then you go, oh, wow, I paid so much. Do I really want to race these things, So I thought, I started the journey of what the hell, what do I do here? So I started racing, and then I loved it. And I kept on sort of going and down the journey. And I think it's not until like anything, until you have skin in the game, you start understanding it and playing it, you really start to get your head around exactly what you're doing, because as well as the aspects of DeRace here is that actually it's quite a mental game as well, because you find it really hard, because you think, I've got a great horse here, it's in great form, it's doing well. Next minute, the legs just fall off it, and you're done for 40 or 50 starts. You're scratching your head, and Then next minute you might go up or down a furlong, and then they start to find their form again, and suddenly you go, oh, you're confident again, you're away, you know. But also it's a battle, because as your horses get on a little bit in number of starts they're having, it really gets hard to sort of try and hold that form and test your mettle. Whether I stop now, do I keep going? There's benchmarks there for me personally, the likes of having horses win 50, win 100 races. And to have those horses, we know it's such a battle to get there. Gee whiz, hats off to anyone that gets there, those 100 wins and stuff, because those horses done really, really well, you know.
Absolutely.
And it's a lot of effort.
And currently you're not a bot user, so you manually manage this entire stable. So that's quite an impressive feat. And racing clubs, you participate on the DGen Club, correct? Is that?
Yeah, correct. Brad's DGen Turf Club. We was there in season 2, and we did. You know, I was really, really proud to be part of his team, and did quite well. Even though, to be honest with you, it was a bit of embarrassing the fact he wins his own competition. I think that there should have been an independent inquiry into that with that Queen Nora. I think it was a disgrace, quite honestly, but that's a different story.
So not a vampire. If you don't mind, are you able to zoom in on some of these names? I wanna have Yoderr speak to some of the reasons behind some of the naming behind your horse. So you're obviously not racing them every day, but you're picking and choosing which ones to go in, and there's a lot here to have to manage. I have to imagine there's some fun behind this.
Yeah, look, I well and truly, yeah, I think there is. I think, well, a few things there. I think with regards to names, there's 2 versions of names I've got. I try, and because of my thoroughbred background, I try and make sure I mix up the names of, for example, of their parents, of a stallion and mare. For example, Funlap, who ran second in the recent unraced Gen 1 comp, it's out of Fungible, the mare, and it's out of Far Lap. So again, I mix the names up, and I try and keep that traditional racing type naming going for my personal stable. Although I do have a couple of names there that, be honest with you, I'm just a bit of an old bloke. So I've got an IT guy at work that when I'm not looking, I breed a horse. He hops in and he changes my names, likes of Beefy Farts and Stinkfinger and Skidmark, and he thinks it's just a great joke. Then I walk back in, I go on my horses after just being bred. I'm all excited to look at it, and I go, Beefy Farts, you're joking, you know. So anyway, consequently, go ahead and race it, and goes all right. But funny enough, the things you learn from racing, right? And yes, I do have quite a big stable. I was quite really proud because that season 2, I actually had, 3 in the top 12, 4 in the top 22, and 8 in the top 100 in that open class. So I did quite well there, and it was really great actually. That, and obviously the unraced there, I had Funlap, which was a great story, and congratulations to Hashfinder for that unraced competition there. It's thoroughly deserved, and I had a lot of fun in what I did. And I had some actually pretty important race learnings out of that as well, because it was quite strategic, but I learned a lot as well.
So have you, talk about strategy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that was a couple of things there was that people have asked, and I read a thing there, is you got some stats or some bot, whatever else. Look, factually, I'm the worst for stats. Like, I really am. I need to pick my act up. So, but what I did was, because again, the breeding background, it's the stallion it's out of is called Far Lap, that is actually, it raced over 6 furlongs. It races quite well over that distance. And then its mum, which is Fungible, it was actually, it's like sort of got top 8 world record time for sort of over 4 furlongs, done well over 5. And then also, Fungible's previously bred horses have done very well and won over 50 races over 6. So I knew that essentially 6 furlongs was going to be my target. So what I did was, because the mare and the stallion, I really narrowed down how much I'd have to try and really look for races to try and drill it down to its best distance. Whereas what happened was, in the first Gen 1 comp, I put Beefy Farts in, and its mum and dad, it runs well over between 2 and 11 or 2 and 12 furlongs. The experimental period was so hard. I think I got like 1 win out of 70 starts with it originally before I found its distance, and it did all right, Yeah, it's you're right. Its form stunk, but now it's going okay. So that's what I did with Fungible. I drilled it down. I looked at the mare and stallion. I knew that the window was very narrow, between 2 or 3 furlongs. Fortunately, it did well on its first run, and I kept it there at that distance pretty much the entire time. But what happened was, Yeah, and what happened too was at the end of that comp, and it's quite funny. I was working all day and come home, and next minute I thought, oh, I hope Hashfinder doesn't run again. He will, but I hope he doesn't win. Sure enough, it won the race, and so I was actually behind by a couple of percent. So I then waited for the next 4 hours. I actually waited 3.5 hours of the last 4 hours of the comp to fight a Gen 6 race. Sorry, a 6 furlong race at Greenfield.
Wow.
And I finally got one. You blokes stacked at Elite Racing as you do, and it did no good. It was another 6 furlong race shortly after, which it managed to win that race, and then the finale come a little bit later, and it ran second, second or third, sorry, in the final race, and it was a lot of fun for everybody. And but what happened was, you talk about race learnings. For about 10 starts there, it was actually my fault. I think this is what happened. I haven't heard it before, but I found a couple of weaker races for it, sort of stuff. I thought it based on its form and times, it probably should have won the races. But it actually, what happened was like the API, somebody said, you know what, you've won enough. You can't win now. You've got to run last. You run second last. So it was against way slower horses, is wanting to win. It was just being forced back and back. Suddenly, it's like I created it. I made its average times go slower because I put it against lesser fields. So it actually took 8 to 10 starts to get it back. So when it was racing against the best horses, also, even if it wasn't winning, it would run, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, not far from the winners. Average times is really good. But when I put it against the weaker fields, it learned that it could go slower, and it wanted to go slower. So it took me a little bit to get its form back up again, which is right at the very end of the comp. So yeah, a little bit different. But a lot of fun.
I find that really interesting from a data perspective, because we obviously study every race and all the data across hundreds of thousands of races at this point. Yeah. But one of the interesting things you just pointed out was something that we're trying to zero in on, which is this competitive nature of the horse as it's racing. How much does it consider its position throughout the race as a key element to continue pushing hard or to slow up? And so you may be entirely right that as it's playing against more stronger competition, it's going to be pushing even harder. It may 100%. Still finish 4th or 5th or 6th place, but its times may be a little bit better.
Yeah, correct.
All right, I have one other question for you on this topic before we move on, and I'm going to throw you on the spot here a little bit. When it comes to season 3, and we're getting ready here to go into a new competition, based on, you raced a lot, you did quite well, you were involved in the unraced, you were involved in the open class. Are there little things that you would recommend get tweaked as we look to zero in on the best tournament structure?
I think it's hard, and even for myself there, and I'm probably tied up a bit there at work, and I'm finding it hard to hit some of the benchmarks for the volume of races in 2 weeks. So to have that go out a little bit, or change that slightly to a different time frame over 3 weeks, which I think has been recommended, is a good option. I think that I potentially myself also would like to see something where it might be a point structure or something. For example, 6 for first, 4 for second, 3, 2, 1. It's just something where that those consistent horses that might run 4th or might run 5th, obviously come down to a number of horses in races and that sort of stuff, but just give everyone a chance here that might necessarily have the big winning streak to get that win percentage, but actually have performed amazing. I'd like to see some sort of rewards for those more consistent type horses as well, because it's a big effort for everybody to hit these benchmarks and race well. And there's only so many horses that can actually be consistent as far as having the ultimate best times, and there's got to be some reward as well for that consistency, because even for authentic horse racing in the real world, sometimes I'd rather have instead of a horse running once or twice really fast, I'd rather have a horse run around 50 times and win 10 starts or 10 races, and that consistency is really, really important as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I like the consistency of the seasons. Like, I would like to see us have like a similar format, and like exhibition or changes here and there I think are fine, but having a repetitive structure where maybe it's weighted wins, so you get credit for those seconds and thirds, and it just allows teams to really plan and strategize around that. I think that would be really helpful for the teams to evolve.
Yeah, I think that what you've just sort of touched on as well is something which I'm very passionate about, even for DeRace and for the future. And I think that what these seasons are doing is it's enabling us to hopefully to form a class structure for racing for the future. And for me personally, I'm really passionate about this for DeRace for the future, and we really make sure we get this right, because essentially, say in real horse racing, we all have, say, the group run races we're all aware of. You know, in the States, you want to win the Kentucky Derby, or Australia, you want to win the Melbourne Cup or the Cox Plate, or the UK, the King's Stand Stakes, or in France, the Prix de Triomphe, or whatever race that is, over those different distances and tracks, etc. Those races are really limited in number. To win those trophies is really special. And we need to make sure the fact that when other horse racing people come in here, they can understand what classes of racing is there. Do I come in? Oh, for me, for example, the unraced Gen 1 comp is like an unraced 2-year-old. It's a 2-year-old horse race where everyone's excited. Have I bred the next champion? What distances does it run over? When will it run well? And that's exciting. But then you move into what is it, a class 1, for example, horse will win 1 to 10 races, 10 to 20, 10 to 30 to 40. What benchmarks do horses have to hit to actually be eligible for higher class races? And what does that look like? We just can't afford to ensure the fact that as certain hippodromes have racing, etc., we need to make sure that everybody's allocated limited type of races and that class structure is developed. And I think that these racing tournaments that, you know, that Dirk Army and Brad, etc., put on there and all the questions they're asking, it's about trying to develop that ultimate tiered racing structure. And it's really, really important that we get that right, because as other people want to come in here, I want to know if I'm a race horse in the real world, I can come here and maybe I could own a Group 1 race, a horse race, you know, or win that horse, that race, or I could actually breed a champion for a reasonable cost and start to build a stable. And that is really exciting. But we need to get it right, because if every one of us, everyone's got a trophy, right, it just doesn't work, right? It's nothing to aim for, and that gamify sort of really gets removed as well.
Yep. Yeah, I think one of the fascinating things, you know, we're kind of talking about the vision that you have, that we have for where DeRace can go. I think they have to walk this tightrope, right? It's
absolutely
gamified because of its space online, because of its being in the crypto space, but also tying what really drew you in, right? The originality and ties to the original racehorsing, and being able to walk that fine line, not just turning everything into can I earn sugar cubes for going crazy, but also having at the same time this elite level competition that is rare, that is only showing up occasionally, and being able to weave those together throughout all the hippodromes that will exist. Look, I think that's going to be
it's a real balancing act, and I see, like, for the future, there's so many things I can see here, because we've got to understand the fact that for me, DeRace, there's 3 different spectrums of people involved here. We've got the traditional, say, a gamer who might just want to come along and enjoy the game, which is great. You might have the crypto investor. We need to look at what tickles their boat, which I'll cover probably shortly. Then obviously we've got the authentic outside racing people that don't really understand a lot about crypto or gaming. How do we satisfy them for the future as well? So I think it's really important here, the fact that for a start, you know, obviously we've got to make sure that the roadmap in DeRace is keeps to that roadmap, or the roadmap is updated and adjusted accordingly, which probably needs a little bit of work there. The next stage there is, for me, and it really excites me, is the metaverse, right? So you've talked about what will bring people in, what satisfies the gamers, the crypto, the authentic racing people. For me, it's the metaverse, right? And what happened, say, October last year, obviously, likes of Facebook changed the name to Meta, and their metaverse project, whether it's the Central Land or Sandbox or RFox, for example, all took a massive boost up, and it all got plugged there. Then what happened was, in the crypto space, hundreds and hundreds of gaming projects all whack metaverse in the front of their gaming project, because it's the star of the show. Suddenly, it's good for marketing. I just want to ensure the fact that, right, people aren't silly. Right, we need to ensure that if we are, which we are, calling ourselves a metaverse project, we need to make sure that we are. And for me, like, that's what, and this is the exciting thing for me. I want to make sure that we are an authentic VR, fully immersive, right, interactive metaverse project that never sleeps. The race experience that goes 24 hours a day and never ever sleeps. Like, for me, I want to get home. I want to put an Oculus on. I want to literally hop inside my hippodrome, perhaps own an apartment on the racetrack. I want to walk downstairs, right? And I want to go downstairs and I want to go to my stables, and I want to have all the stables around the track, and I'll be able to go there and I can see maybe some retired champions. I can see my horses that may be in breeding, see my horses that might be actually pre-entered for horse racing that day, group racing, etc. And then maybe see some horses being prepped for sales later on. I could then maybe have hopefully some trophies displayed or other things in the stable, and people come and go for a walk through my stables and see what horses I've got. I can go and communicate with other people, other horse owners and stable owners. Then maybe from there, I can just, you know, go for a walk out. I can literally lean on the side of a racetrack, have a bet with the bookies, right? Have a bet on the next race that's coming up. I can sit there and I can stand like a real racetrack experience. I can watch the horses go by. Hopefully then go to the winner's enclosure, watch some fashions on the field, because I'm sure we're going to look some pretty sexy avatars there. So we're going to look some fashions on the field. And then, you know, then maybe you can go to an auction and see the real life auction of just like traditional horse racing space, see that auction of some of my horses being sold and enjoy some time with friends. And then hopefully after all that, in this amazing metaverse space that doesn't sleep, there might be, with partnerships, there might be a concert going on in the middle of the race course. Hopefully Pink's playing. There might be an amazing fun park. You know, go over there and hopefully some of my slow horses might be stuck permanently on the carousel, you know, at that time, you know. So who knows? Who knows what could happen? But
a petting zoo for all the donkeys.
Hey, kids will be happily riding around on beefy farts over there, you know. So they'll be having a great time. But you see, what I'm saying here is the fact that when you start to look at this fully immersive system here, suddenly you create the excitement for crypto investors, gamers, the outside. I want you go and pick up the best racetrack on the best day in the world, and I want that experience on steroids internally, because it's really important too. Like you just think about this as an NFT investor, right? I want to know, like, what's the potential true value proposition for NFT rarity, right? So for us coming into crypto here, I want to know the fact that many projects, for example, you can actually say stake your NFTs. So I want to know the fact that, can I stake an Olympian or a demigod, and they should be able to get increased rewards for that over perhaps, you know, lesser horses. If I own a rare NFT like an Olympian or something, they should be able to have an advantage on the racetrack. They may be down the track given, they should, because why are you going to spend all the money? If you're in a real breeding world, I can't get my head around the fact that you can't get on the road and spend $100 on a horse and someone's spending $4 million on a horse and expect to have the same ability on the racetrack. And like at the moment, for the end of the day, I don't want to be playing a game. I want to know the fact that based on breeding, based on rarity, based on ability, yes, adding wearables, adding certain things, that I can actually get and perhaps own a champion, right? But people are happy to spend money knowing that they will be receive additional rewards, additional ability on racetrack, perhaps they receive free apartments in the track or stables. But what is that true NFT rarity value proposition? And when that's really explained and people understand that and understand that vision, well, then they'll invest, and they'll invest higher and higher. And all Gen Zero horses, regardless of what you spend, will actually commence to go up in value, because suddenly people want that rarity and they want to do it. I just think I don't want to be playing a slot machine. I don't want to be playing a slot machine on a simple gaming project, knowing the fact that at the moment, if you own a legend, you might have a horse that can win 20% of the time. If you don't, it wins 5% of the time. I want to know the fact that I can really, through ownership and racing, I can really influence that number, you know? So there's a couple of things there.
I like the idea of knowing what is the roadmap post main launch, because everything that you described would be incredible. I would go out and buy headsets for my family so we could all sit down and go watch the races together.
It would, and it would bring everybody into the space.
I recognize it could be years in development, but knowing that might be a direction would be great.
100%, and it would be years. I'll give you an example. There's a project there at the moment which is called RFox. It's a fully immersive VR metaverse project. They've got like four quarters at the moment: gaming and sports and retail, etc. But they're actually doing AMAs 3 times a week within the metaverse as an avatar, 2 YouTube clips a week. But the most important thing here for me is communication with the community, right? We all understand the journey is going to be hard. For example, at the moment, we understand, right? For me, yes, we must be all on chain. We must be 100% on chain as we move forward, but I also understand as a crypto person that within the gaming space, scaling has been a really, really difficult thing within gaming, right? But yes, there's more solutions coming out at the moment, likes of Immutable X, you know, and obviously they've got Illuvium, 10,000 transactions a second, blah, blah, blah. But more and more of these scaling solutions will come out, right? And I think that scaling won't be an issue for DeRace down the track. We'll get there for sure, and we'll get more back on chain, etc. So, but I think that what we need to do is ensure that the community is engaged a couple of times a week at length, that we can all have a mutual say and talk about this constructively, because it's all about feedback, right? And together, right, we will get there, and together we will win if both parties constructively accept the feedback, but also because it's like anything. If you're running a company or a general of an army, if we all believe in the vision, we will follow, right? Even if it takes years, we will be there to support. And ultimately, too, the community in crypto is the most important thing, right? It's your value creation, it's your wealth creation, it's the social values that we'll create. So we're here because we care. You're here doing what you do because you care. I'm continually investing, breeding, racing because we care. So we all just want, we all want this to work, and we can get there. And I just think, for me, DeRace have to make sure that the communication increases, but also the fact that we all understand the vision exactly where we're heading, and understand this is more than just a play to earn game. It's more than just a game. Right? If you just want to go for the gamify, well, if you want to be gaming, for example, these hippodromes should have, they almost should be built on Unity. We should have the ultimate dream graphics, because true gamers want to see real life. They want to see graphics like you've never seen before. You know, we need a lot of work in that space at the moment to get down that path. So perhaps, for example, the future, as these hippodromes, a lot of thought needs to go in the background, because for me, I'm really all over the racing. We know what we're getting there at the moment. I'm not interested, due respect, does weather excite me and that sort of stuff? Not at all. It's just, honestly, I really don't care. I want to see the hippodromes looking absolutely incredible. The backspace, I want to see people, atmosphere. When you click on, first time I click on there, I want to know the fact that the stands are full, people are screaming, people are moving, stables in the background, horses moving. I want to really see an amazing, for a start. That doesn't have to be VR metaverse. We can start somewhere to build what we're going to do to transition down the track, but let's build a picture and a plan, you know.
So you've actually brought up something that I think is key here, and that is graphics, being able to draw people in, right?
100%.
You yourself, self-proclaimed oldest member here, even you can understand that younger generations, all the way down, my kids included, want to see something that is as close to lifelike as possible, right? Like that
100%.
is what we're trying to have. So I would ask you, beyond that, you know, let's say they do start to transition to kind of intro video concepts that are a little more graphics focused. You know, right before the race starts, it has something that's a little more flashy. What are some other things that you think they could add in now? And I'm not talking about the vision for the future stuff that, you know, might take years to develop, but things that are you know, low-hanging fruit that they might be able to drop in,
both game and project people as a whole.
I think that when I log in the hippodrome, I just want to see those backgrounds. Like I said before, I want to see stables and horses and every table full of people. At the moment, we're racing in the middle of COVID. The stands are empty, the atmosphere is dead, and all we are is we're watching our horses run around. But for people to come in here, they need to see that. And because once you start to see things built out, for example, we talk about the dream for the future I spoke about before. When you log in there and you can suddenly scan around on a vision camera and see horses and see people and see things going on in the background and people buying things in an event and a carnival, and you start to envisage the future. And I think that is really a big sell. I think, and you know, because even beforehand, like obviously the horses are sitting in the stables there for a long period of time. That obviously I can't, in the real world, I don't know. Normally you see the horses enter, where they're coming down from, how they're getting loaded, what that, you know, what it looks like beforehand.
Yep.
Understand that's all, you know, it all takes a lot of work, you know. So let's just one step at a time. The positive thing is, yes, we've got wearables coming out, and that sort of will help add. It's all about adding those NFT, the structures, the value to all of our NFTs. But what we just got to understand the future value proposition and yeah, improve some
What
of that
about
racing.
how do you feel as a, you know, obviously a lifelong viewer of races in real life? Like, how do you feel about the horses running the tracks themselves, like the game itself, and you know, spacing and jostling and things like that? Do you have any thoughts?
Probably the most positive thing here at the moment, right, is that DeRace has a product. We're racing. Horses can actually win from behind. They can middle stages from most places they can win. We generally know if they jump pretty much in front of sort of, you know where your horse is going to be in the first 2 or 3. You should get an idea. But I think the racing's been very good. But the hardest thing here is the fact that, yeah, obviously in a dream world, I want to see horses like traditional racing, you know, 1, 2, 2 and 3 deep and coming from behind and coming through the packs and that sort of stuff. And I think, but however, this is the thing is the moment for me, while that's the dream world, I'd love to see that being a traditionalist, right? Absolutely. But I'd rather have the product we have now, but knowing that there's more concentration put on the external experiences and knowing the fact that concentrating on the value of our NFTs, the value of our horses, and what value is being added to the rarity of those horses to encourage people. Why at the moment, if you want to encourage investment in here, if you're not a racer or a gamer, but I want to buy, I want to buy a demigod. And if I own one of those horses, I'm going to stand a chance of perhaps winning more races, but I can stake for high rewards and then get other NFTs I can sell. And then I can move on and I can breed with this thing, and which is a really great, but sold right through proper communication and more effective marketing, I can go, wow, I can breed this NFT. Okay, it might cost me $100 with a, you know, 0.1 of an ETH or something for a liquid love. But you know what? I'm going to be able to sell this for $300 or $400, which is a couple $100. And another one going to sell for 2 ETH, 3 and start to generate that interest of that NFTs of start to moving up. We need to encourage. This now for me is not just a space about encouraging mass usage of just the game, because people will do that to a certain degree, but we need to keep people engaged and people coming and sell the vision for the future and the whole experience. And that then satisfies the 3 target markets: gamers, crypto, and authentically racing people, because this is about the vision for the future. And we talk about getting, you know, engagement and et cetera, and growth. That's where it comes from. This is not just about people playing a slot machine. If that's all we are, is playing that simple press a button, that wears thin. It really will, and people will disengage after a while, and it's done. This is not. Yeah.
I would agree. And something I would like to throw on top of that is, I think it's critical that all of us horse owners are the athletes in the sport. Like when I go to a horse for track, I don't show up with a horse, but I enjoy the experience. I bet on the events. I sit there and enjoy it with Mr. E. We go out there and we have a great time. So while we're in this space, I would like to create the same type of experience where people that do not have horses would still want to come, because it's an entertaining venue. And that would be, I think, an incredible part to grow this ecosystem.
I agree entirely. Partnerships with the other, for example, like-minded metaverse companies, etc., that suddenly, wow, how amazing would that be? You can instantly bring other communities in to enjoy what we're offering, and we can enjoy what they're offering. And that combined technology, and it advances us where we are in this space. You can have, I can't think any better having my kids and my wife or other people who aren't necessarily racing people come in here, because actually it's a fun place to be. Because, you know, I said they're going and watching Justin Bieber or something playing a concert the same place. Meanwhile, I've got, you know, Fun Lap running over in a Group 1 race around the corner, you know. So we're all having a great experience in the one place. And that's when you get true adoption. But then also that's when the real, you know, people now, the Gen Zero holders, etc., really see that growth in the future. So when we can see
Absolutely.
that vision, we know where it's heading. We're here for the long haul. This is not a quick thing. We know that. Understand that. Just do it together.
So we've got one final question for you. So we talked quite a bit about some of the vision that you have, but now there are specific features that DeRace has on the docket that are going to be coming in the short and mid-term future. Do you have a favorite feature and a least favorite feature that you would want to talk about, so DeRace can get a sense of what your demographic thinks about what's coming?
I think that, like I said to you, my least favorite without doubt is weather, because I think we have enough variables already without throwing something else into the mix. And positive feature for me is probably, I do think there's a place for wearables. I do. I think that done right, they can add, again, there's options to offer things not only for just play to earn, but also for, depends on NFT rarity there, that people get extras and bonuses. And so I'm just trying to find things that, how can we add value? We need to, and we continue, other than just racing. We're not just a play to earn racing game, because if you're here for just a play to earn racing game, you're probably not going to make a terrible lot of money. But if we can see our NFTs going up in value, because honestly, and to see, and say jockeys, right? Look, hey, there's opportunities there. I quite like I like the opportunity to have a jockeys, and I think we can have pretty cool looking jockeys, and I've seen what's been presented so far there, and I like it. I think that having that come in is probably, I like to see that more real life racing experience, and jockeys add that. But there's opportunities in as well to have rarer jockeys, which I know would come. But again, something for us all to aim for and start to work our way up. But people, again, who come into the space must be able to understand, why do I want a better jockey? What does this jockey add? How does this gameplay work out? And that comes through effective communication.
Couldn't agree more. I think there's clearly a thread through everything that you've been saying, what brought you here, as well as what you see as a vision for the future. And then obviously what we see coming next and what we hope is coming next, they all tie together. It's drawing people in and continuing to engage with them, whether that's 100%. In the game itself or just outside of the game itself. And that's one of the things that we love to do with this channel as well, is be able to bring people on like Yoderr here and hear your story and hear what you have to say about what draws you to DeRace. And I'm really excited to be able to continue to do these community profiles. So I just want to say thank you to Yoderr for your time and for taking the time to tell us your story. And hopefully anyone out there that's listening feels free to reach out to Yoderr on Discord and have a chat.
Thanks, guys. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks again for your time. Probably, one final word for the community. Let's just keep on racing. Let's keep adding value, right? Let's be the great community we can be. And for DeRace, just don't stop building. Please listen to our feedback, and let's come together, and together we'll all win. The end. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Yoderr.
Thank you.